In this video, we'll make this simple but really lovely notebook ourselves. It turned out so gorgeous that even my cat couldn't stop touching it. The materials you'll need are pretty basic. I won't be using any professional bookbinding tools, for example, so if you're a beginner or this is going to be your first handmade notebook ever, you can absolutely do it. First of all, here are the materials you'll need. Of course, yours might differ from mine, for example, the fabric or paper type. So we take 5 sheets of paper. This will be the base of each block of paper. I already have several prepared here. What we need to do is simply fold each group of 5 sheets in half, carefully, corner to corner, without rushing. The most important thing is to make sure there is no hand cream or oil on your hands, otherwise the paper will get stained. It's best to just wash your hands with soap before starting. And please ignore my scratched hands. My cat decided these days that she wanted to leave as many marks on me as possible. So I ended up with 11 signatures, which means my notebook will have 110 pages in total. We take a piece of cardboard, align it evenly along the fold line, and mark where we'll make the holes. There will be 6 in total. 1 pair at the top, another in the middle, and 1 more pair at the bottom. A needle and thread. I thread it right away so the needle doesn't accidentally get lost. A piece of cardboard, preferably thicker, and some kind of soft material that can be easily pierced. I have this bubble wrap. Now, using our template, we'll pierce exactly 6 holes in the center of each signature. Take your time so everything turns out neat and even. And finally, we start sewing the pages together. We stitch the first signature by simply passing the needle through each hole like this. Then we take the second signature and pass the needle through the corresponding hole. From here on, we'll work using the same principle, but in the places where the thread is on this side, we'll pass the needle through each previous stitch, essentially securing the whole block. Then we simply pass the needle through each opposite hole. At the end, you can pass the needle through the knot to secure it even more. Each time, gently tighten the thread. Not too much, but just enough so the block holds together well. When the thread starts running out, it's better not to wait until the very end. Secure it and start a new one from one side. Now, through these gaps under the threads, we'll add pieces of fabric. I'm using regular cotton. Why do we do this? To secure the block even more firmly. It's time to add the end paper. You can use special scrapbooking paper with some pattern, like I did in another notebook. Or like I'm doing now, you can use this brown sketch paper. Fold an A4 sheet in half. If you have a different size, trim it. The size should be the same as the notebook pages. Now we'll need glue. I'm using this one, and we apply a thin line at the base of the spine. Carefully glue each end paper like this on both sides. Now we glue these fabric pieces on each side. We need to pull them slightly so the pages of the notebook block hold together more firmly. Of course, the tension shouldn't be too strong. Do everything in moderation. And now we'll apply glue to the spine of the notebook itself. I have this kind of homemade press, but you can absolutely use just large, heavy books. That's exactly what I used to do before. So I place the block on the edge here. Note that I also put some material underneath, so excess glue can absorb into it. All the pages should stand straight on all sides, so the block doesn't end up warped to one side. It must be perfectly aligned. We cover the block from the top, and I also tighten my press so the pages press together under the weight. You can simply place your block on fabric or another material and put a stack of books on top. I apply a thick layer of regular PVA glue to the spine and then spread it evenly with a brush. And that's it, we don't touch it anymore. It's best to leave it to dry overnight. Now it's time to choose the fabric I'll use for my notebook. I have several options. I like this one, but I think I'll save it for another project, and right now my eye is drawn to this one. Plus, I think this decorative ribbon will match it very well. Before starting, I always decide on the design first. I usually just play with colors, ribbons, or other decorative elements. That's how inspiration comes and the result forms on its own. Before making the cover itself, the fabric needs to be ironed well, so there are no creases. everything glued and secured really well for me. The glue isn't visible anywhere at all. If something didn't go according to plan for you, please don't worry. Believe me, before achieving this result, I had to make several notebooks and learn from my own mistakes how to do everything more neatly and beautifully. Now we move on to measuring the cover. Here I leave a few millimeters, which gives me 15 centimeters horizontally. Vertically, I also leave a few millimeters on each side, and it comes out to 22 centimeters. My cover will be hard, so I take this kind of cupboard and cut out 2 rectangles according to the measurements, so 15 by 22 centimeters. We'll cut the spine piece just in a moment. Now we take all 3 parts, the block and the 2 cover pieces, and measure how wide the spine should be. For me, it's 1.6 centimeters. We cut that piece as well. Also cut out this small piece of cupboard. I'll explain why in a second. Carefully lay out all the parts and trim the fabric if needed. Since we'll be working with glue, it's best to cover the workspace with something, even just plain paper. It will look something like this, plus I'll add something decorative. I have these small keys and this wooden decorative piece. I really want to sew it right here, although I think adding both might be too much, so let's leave only the wooden decoration. Now cut a very small piece of the fabric you'll be using and glue it with PVA onto the cupboard. This way we can see whether the glue shows through the fabric or not. There are materials where stains always remain. This time I got lucky, nothing shows through. Lay out all the parts with about 4-5 millimeters between them. If your fabric shows glue stains, just skip the next step. It's totally fine. If everything looks good, apply PVA glue to each piece and carefully glue everything down without rushing. Then place some weight on it so it can dry for a few minutes. And I recommend you washing the glue brush with soap right away. Using another glue that works well for fabric and paper, we glue the edges on the notebook cover. The most important thing is not to rush and to not use too much glue. On the edges of the spine, I'll glue a bit of ribbon. It will cover the edges of the notebook block and make everything look much neater and more beautiful. And by the way, we'll leave the ribbon longer at the top. It will also serve as a bookmark. All that's left is to finish the cover design and then glue the block into it. If your cover is slightly deformed, that's just because of the glue. Now we'll put weight on the notebook again, books, or simply placing it on a bookshelf between other books overnight or a bit longer, and after that everything will return to normal. The final touch. I want to add decorative metal corners. I absolutely love them and they look just fine on almost each notebook. Everything has dried well, it's not deformed anymore, and the result is just wonderful, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed this notebook making process as much as I did, and if so, please put a like to this video, make sure to be subscribed to my channel, and if you'd like to support my work, I would be incredibly grateful. See you next time.